Thank you for tuning in. Our next presenter is Jennifer Twiner-McCarron, Chief Executive Officer and Director. Mrs. McCarron, you may begin.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today. We're Thunderbird Entertainment. We're a high-quality content studio with over 250 partnerships, such as Netflix, HBO Max, Apple TV, Nickelodeon, Discovery Channel, NBC Universal, and many more. Our mission is to create content that makes the world a better place, makes people happy, and provides a much-needed escape, especially during these unprecedented times. A great example of our mission and style of content is Molly of Denali, featured here. This summer, we won the prestigious Peabody Award, nominated alongside shows you may recognize like Stranger Things, Succession, and Fleabag. And the Peabody honors the most powerful, enlightening, and invigorating stories of the year. We are well on our way to being recognized as a major global studio, and never has there been a better time to be in the content creation business. Going forward, taking a look at our forward-looking statements. Moving on to our executive summary. Featured here on this slide is Kim's Convenience. This is a great comedy featured on CBC and Netflix, and season 1 has a 100% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is very hard to do. We are a MicroCap company with revenues of $81.3 million, increasing 41% over fiscal year 2019, and EBITDA of $15.5 million, increasing 22% over fiscal year 19, and we are growing. Our award-winning team of 1,000 artists is based in Los Angeles, Vancouver, Ottawa, and Toronto, and this summer alone, I mentioned we won the Peabody. We also won an Emmy Award, a Television Critics Award. Fast Company added Thunderbird Entertainment to its list of 2020's most innovative companies to watch, and we were on Canadian Business Magazine list of 2020's fastest growing companies. Our extensive library continues to generate recurring revenue for us from names such as Da Vinci's Code, Beatbugs, Game of Homes, and more. With new alliances with toy and gaming companies, we're able to further leverage our IP and content into the world of merchandise, gaming, microtransactions, which will open up new and possibly very lucrative revenue streams for our company. The two main drivers of our company are Atomic Cartoons, the Kids and Family division, with shows like Beatbugs, Last Kids on Earth, Hello Ninja, and more, and Great Pacific Media, our factual documentary-style company, with hits like Highway Through Hell, Daily Planet, Save My Reno, and Kim's Convenience. We are uniquely positioned in that both facts and Kids and Family are the cornerstone of each streamer's strategy to glue that key co-viewing audience, which is essentially families at home gathering to watch content together. This is the stickiest of all demographics, as the streamers' data analytics show that people are less likely to subscribe and unsubscribe when Kids and Family are glued. Moving on here, we have zero corporate debt, and our free cash flow increased $12.3 million over fiscal year 19. We're young, we're nimble, and we're growing. This slide illustrates here the scaling and profitability, our phenomenal growth, and we have great visibility of this pace of growth well into 23. The picture here is of our Lego Star Wars Holiday Special that we developed with Lucasfilm and Lego, and it drops on November 17th on Disney+. We were thrilled because Bob Iger sent our team a note saying he couldn't tell the difference between our special and some of the feature film work, so be sure to check that out. Moving on to our company overview, featured here is Princesses Wear Pants. This is a show we've developed with Savannah Guthrie from The Today Show, Ali Oppenheim, her husband Noah Oppenheim runs NBC News, and Drew Barrymore. This is a New York Times best-selling book series, and this work is a new take on princesses, where the prize is not marrying the prince at the end, rather featuring diversity, inclusivity, and while it's still okay to embrace your pink and sparkly side, it's more important how you lead and the values with which you live your life, rather than what you look like. It's been set up at a major streamer, I'm sure you can guess which one, as their only princess show to go head-to-head with Disney's Princess line. We own a significant piece of the merchandise, gaming, etc., and I'm sure any of you listening in with little girls understand how popular this can be. Taking a look at our company evolution, we were founded in 2003 by Tim Gamble, who remains on the board today, with the mission of creating libraries to lift and fund IP exploitation and create major global brands. In 2014, Great Pacific Media was acquired, and in 2016, Atomic Cartoons. And the original mission remains very much alive today, as our major global brands delight audiences around the world and are increasingly moving into ancillary businesses like distribution, consumer products, toys, and video games. Taking a look at our experienced executive team, both Mark and myself are extremely operational and lived and breathed this business for over 20 years. Matthew Berkowitz has been a key hire for us in LA and has helped to lead the push towards increasing IP ownership and an ever-commanding presence in Los Angeles, nurturing relationships with all of our key buyers. Taking a look at our board, of note is the reunion of Marnie Weishoffer and Frank Justra. Frank and Marnie started Lionsgate Entertainment together in Toronto and successfully moved to Los Angeles, where they grew this Canadian studio to be the first major global studio to emerge in decades. And there's no reason why Thunderbird can't do the same. Taking a more granular look at Atomic Cartoons, our kids and family division, we produce high-end content across multiple pipelines and genres, spanning preschool, comedy, action-adventure, adult, and everything in between. Featured here on this slide is Jack and the Monster Blarg from our New York Times adapted best-selling book, Last Kids on Earth. Always on the New York Times top 10 bestseller list with Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Harry Potter, Last Kids on Earth is currently airing on Netflix, and stand by for a toy line and microtransactional mobile and console games in spring of this year. Summer, Last Kids on Earth won the Emmy Award for Best Outstanding Special Class Animated Program, and I could not be more proud of the team. Here's a look at some of our titles. Of note, you'll recognize Rick and Morty. We do a ton of Lego work like Lego Jurassic World, Hilda. We're doing a series of Curious George movies with Peacock, 101 Dalmatians with Disney, just to name a few. We're increasing our IP ownership, providing ancillary revenue, again, in toys, merchandise, music, and gaming. And our more recent partnerships, like the one I mentioned, Savannah Guthrie and Drew Barrymore from Princesses Wear Pants, as well as we have a feature film partnership with the writers from The Simpsons. I can't wait to tell you what that's going to be. We're also working with Reese Witherspoon's company, Hello Sunshine, from fame like Big Little Lies, to open up their kids and family division with an emphasis on diversity and inclusivity. Taking a look at our documentary division, Great Pacific Media, we are a global leader in factual television, considered widely to be the best in class. Everything we do is 100% owned, developed by award-winning journalists with an eye for authenticity and truth-telling. Highway Through Hell is going into its 9th season with more to come. I'll take a look at some of the amazing titles here. You'll recognize Save My Reno, Daily Planet, Untold Stories of the ER, just to name a few. Our in-house AI data-driven approach increases the possibility of hits by keying into what makes a show a hit and finding the right character moments and storylines. Again, we own 100% of a remarkable IP and have an almost unbeatable renewal rate. Highway Through Hell is the most successfully independently owned unscripted brand in the world, with 2 spin-offs, Rescue 401 and A Mud Mountain, coming soon. Our consumer products and distribution division. This is opening soon in Los Angeles. I can't wait to tell you who we've hired. It will be announced soon to build and run this new division for Thunderbird. This new division will allow us to further increase and exploit our IP ownership in video games, merch, all cross-media exploitation, and increase ownership as we distribute content around the globe. Announce properties like Nate Creates with the Jim Henson Company from Muppets fame, and Mermacorno from Tokidoki, the insanely popular Japanese lifestyle brand, will be set up under this division, and instead of hiring a third-party CPN distribution company, we will be able to further increase and leverage our ownership for Thunderbird. I love this next slide because as a content creation company, we're nothing without the amazing talent and creative force that we're working with. People have joined Thunderbird from Disney, DreamWorks, National Geographic, and Pixar, just to name a few. They're coming to our company because they see something special happening and want to be a part of this amazing journey that we're on. This slide, response to COVID, is of note as we managed to successfully transition 100% of staff to home without missing a beat or any deliveries. We're compliant with Tier 1 security, such as Disney's, and in a time where live action can't shoot with 200 people on a film set does not always reliably work, our two main drivers, animation and factual, can work and have thrived during this time. In fact, the demand has only increased. We have increased our benefits for our workforce and are working to do our small part as good corporate citizens to take care of those that we can. Additionally, we used to think of our studio by capacity. How many people can we fit into a building in Los Angeles, Ottawa, or Vancouver? Now, if we're offered a show that we love and have passion for, we can go for it as we're no longer confined to four studio walls. This slide illustrates that demand was strong before COVID, and now it's through the roof. I'm sure many of you listening in have crushed more Netflix than we ever thought possible. It's definitely helped me with homeschooling and a break from the somewhat depressing news cycle. Taking a look here at our industry landscape, moving on, of note would be the launch of 5G. This is going from 3G to 5G, like going from a garden hose to a fire hose, where you'll be able to download content within seconds on any device, anytime, anywhere in the world. And the new players coming online are not startups. These are major players like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Apple. They're giving Netflix a run for their money because they see what a massively lucrative and exciting business this is. Going forward, content spending is on the rise. These are published commitments to content spending from Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and Apple through 2022, and it is huge. Stay-at-home spending continues to grow. Subscription streaming, electronic sell-through, that's where consumers pay a one-time fee to download media like owning Elf forevermore. And video on demand, using internet to stream on televisions and personal computers. Now more than ever, there's a need for diversified and high-quality content to feed this stay-at-home boom. People are watching content even post-pandemic. The days of crowding into movie theaters are likely forever altered. The industry drivers here, much of this I've already touched on, but the headline is this: the industry is on fire. Very grateful to be in a pandemic-proof industry. We're booming, and the growth is coming from all countries and regions around the world, not just North America. Thunderbird's uniquely positioned with our strong relationships, incredible reputation to fully capitalize on this exploding growth curve. Looking here is just a sampling of the customers that we're currently working with in over 200 territories and 40 different languages. We're working with all of the top players and, again, have great visibility into our future with work booked well into 23. I love this slide, the business models, as it really breaks down the business of Thunderbird. Essentially 3 buckets of how we set up shows. Intellectual property, this is where content is owned and the copyright lives forevermore in our library. Examples on this slide would be Highway Through Hell, Last Kids on Earth, Kim's Convenience. We are paid upon delivery, and then after a certain window of exclusivity, we can distribute it around the world and set up consumer products, toys, games, cross-media exploitation, all these great forms of recurring revenue. The second bucket would be the service bucket, and this is where we're hired to execute on projects. 100% of the work is cash flowed, plus a producer fee on top of the work. An example of that would be 101 Dalmatians on this slide. Another bucket, our last one, is the partnership model, and this is increasingly, we're seeing more and more of this, and this is where we're hired to handle all creative, from writing through post-production and delivery. Companies like Disney and Netflix are setting up these deals with us because they need to turn on so much work, they can't handle it all internally with their execs. So they come to trusted partners like us to do absolutely everything. For that work, the production is fully cash flowed, plus a substantial producer fee and a nice percentage of backhand sales on all cross-media exploitation. An example here would be Hello Ninja, which was a board book sold in Starbucks that we did all of the writing for, handled the entire thing, and it went on to be Netflix's most streamed show for kids in November of 2019. Moving on to our next slide, our library. This is a substantial form of recurring revenue for us, and shows like Cold Squad and Da Vinci's Inquest add nicely to our revenues. These titles are distributed around the world and add to our healthy cash flow with international library sales, including music publishing. Plus, everyone around the world needs more content right now, And again, it's a great source of recurring revenue. Going forward, looking at the tax incentives, a wonderful part of being a Canadian domiciled company are the incredible tax incentives that have been around for well over 30 years. Essentially, up to 50% of Canadian residents' salaries will be covered by the government. This allows us to put higher quality on the screen and present high-quality budgets to broadcasters that are almost impossible to say no to. Taking a look at our financial overview, our condensed balance sheets, our cash position is strong, and again, we have zero debt. Our condensed income statements, revenue is over $80 million compared to $57 million in fiscal year 2020, and revenue, EBITDA, and free cash flow just continue to increase for us. Going forward, our trading information and capital structure, again, our corporate debt is nothing. We're nimble and able to be opportunistic in these times. A large contingent of dedicated insider ownership who believes in and champions our story. And we're just starting our IR journey with Bristol, and are thrilled to be getting our story now out to the world. Growth opportunities, this is my favorite slide. Where are we going? We're continuing to develop and acquire IP with over 50 projects coming up through our pipelines. There are some really good announcements coming. And this IP can be leveraged again into all different forms of recurring revenue like microtransactional games, mobile games, console games, toys, bed sheets, ice skating shows, you name it. Our presence in LA continues to expand due to unprecedented demand from streamers. Being in LA gives us access to top talent in the heart of the industry, and being able to execute in Canada at top level is an unbeatable proposition. We're expanding into animated feature films. There's a huge market now for in-home theater. I mentioned our partnership with the writing team from The Simpsons, and I can't wait to announce what we're doing. Trolls was released over streaming in April of 2020, and the film set several streaming records, including becoming Universal's most successful day one rental. Its success led to Universal announcing that they would be looking to doing more simultaneous theatrical and streaming releases forevermore. We saw this direct-to-home release with HBO Max over the holidays. Opening up our own consumer products and distribution division in LA further increases our ownership and our ability to leverage and exploit top-tier IP. Increasing presence in territories around the world, like Southeast Asia, where recently Netflix and Disney have announced they are focusing on new subscriptions. They need to get out of North America to continue to grow, and their value is based on increased subscriptions. By having ownership in these areas, we can recognize the content and run it through our burgeoning consumer products and distribution division. In summary, we're a rapidly growing and highly profitable company with greater than $15 million of adjusted EBITDA in fiscal year 20. We're increasing our ownership in Mayberg Global Brands, and that's incredibly lucrative. The reason that Hasbro bought E1 for $5 billion last year was because of Peppa the Pig and PJ Masks. The value of these global brands is massive. Never has there been a better time to be in content, and I believe never has there been a better company than Thunderbird to capitalize on it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I will now move to the Q&A tab. So I see a question here. What are you doing that your competitors such as WildBrain are not doing yet? That's a great question. Well, for one, we have no debt, so I think that's a big differentiator. We're also getting into animated features, so there's that. But WildBrain is doing a lot of great stuff as well. So I put my hats off to our friends and competitors. What makes you different? Here's another one from Genius Brands and WildBrain. Again, we're debt-free. We've got offices, a big presence in Los Angeles, which has, come to us from streamers asking us to open and expand there more. When we set up our LA office, which is in Burbank between, at Media Studios right beside Disney and Hasbro, it was because of our partners asking us to expand there and tie into talent and handle more work for them. And we've got a huge output and brands and increasing ownership. So there's some difference there. But I'd say the key is that we have zero debt. What is the value of your library? Well, it's hard to define it. It changes all the time, but the library, it costs us nothing. It stays in our library, and we set it up and sell it year round. And increasingly so, people need more content. They need more scripted that's in the library, and it's proving to be extremely lucrative for us. How big is your backlog? I'm not exactly sure. That's a great question, Patrick, if I'm going to answer that correctly. Generally, we don't set up or we don't make shows until they're sold. So all the projects coming up in the pipeline will only ever spend around $100,000 or $200,000 developing them, and if they sell, great, and if they don't, we move on. But luckily right now we're getting a lot of sales. And backlog in terms of deliveries, we didn't miss a beat during COVID. We didn't miss one delivery getting off site, which just further ingratiated us in earn trust with all of our partners. Another great question from Patrick, what's your mix between IP services and partnership? I would say right now we're about 50% IP, 30% service, and 20% partnership model. I'm just going to refresh this page and see if there's anything else. I don't see any other questions. Oh, wait, here we go. A couple more that I think I can get through. From what you can say, what are the to-do things investors should look for in 2021? I think we should look for more expansion of our ownership in consumer products and distribution. I think we should look for some really great growth that we're, fully booked and can, we already know what's happening there. More high-quality projects, more awards, which do get us a lot of notoriety, and some exciting partnership announcements and more intel as we look to make more of an international play. What percent of your revenues are related to royalties? From Sean. I wouldn't want to answer that off the top of my head, Sean, but if you want to set up a separate call with our CFO, Barb Howard, and myself, would love to do that and could probably get into more of the granular financials. Another question from Russell here, looking to do M&A. Yes, absolutely. I love organic growth. We've built and remain debt-free through organic growth, but as we continue to expand, I think, in our international plays, there's a lot of great studios, especially, again, in countries that have protectionist governments. They offer tax credits. They're saying to the streamers, like France is saying, hey, if you want to stream here, 30% of what you stream needs to be French content. It's hard to build organically in cultures that you don't know. So we would like to expand internationally, have ownership in countries where the streamers are going, help them lift their own IP, leverage the great relationships we already have with all of the streamers, and then run that through our burgeoning consumer products and distribution division. Another question here from John. Are you noticing some bidding wars happening for content between the streamers? Yes, definitely. It's an amazing time to be doing what we're doing because since there's so many people wanting content and that, their merit is to constantly have new content to refresh on their sites, it creates a really healthy market tension for us as we go to sell things, which has been fantastic for us. I believe that is all of the questions now in the time that we have. Please, if I didn't address anything or you'd like a follow-up, I'd love to hear from you. Want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and really wish everyone a safe and happy start to the year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. McCarran, and that concludes this webcast. Thank you.